What's going on, everybody? It's finally here. As of right now, we are 48 hours away from kickoff to the NFL 2022 season. What's going on? As always, I am your host, Devin Primrose, joined by my brother from another mother, Mr. Blake Ivy. What is going on, man?
Man, I am just beyond excited. I've talked to you about, I think I've said this to you maybe every day since Saturday, but like, Saturday, I wake up the next day after college football and I feel like, all right, time for some NFL football. And
Right.
it just wasn't there. And so I had to just be like, okay, good. The Bulldogs won. I can rejoice in that. And that's great. But now I have no NFL and I feel like I should have NFL football to watch. And so, and then, we had our draft for the league you and I are in on Sunday. And a lot of the guys that are in the Discord, we had that draft on Sunday night. And then obviously last night's nothing. But then tonight is the podcast. And then we're just 48 hours out, man, from a hopefully dang good football game.
I mean, I think it will be. It's Buffalo and LA, the reigning Super Bowl champs versus, I don't know, arguably the most complete team in the NFL. I think it's going to be a really, really a spicy matchup, and I'm excited for it. I'm here for it.
I'm just getting my shaker ready because
you get the shaker warm
tonight, man. We're gonna need it. We're gonna need it. We got some spicy matchups when we get to the week 1 predictions. I'm gonna tease you guys a little bit. We don't normally do teasers, but I tease this on the Discord. I'm gonna tease it here at the start of the show.
Yeah,
I have not seen anybody with my Super Bowl prediction winner yet, and much less have I seen anybody with my Super Bowl matchup prediction yet. So hang around and listen, because it's not super spicy, okay? Like nobody's gonna be like, you're an idiot. But it's just different. I think it's unusual. We'll get there. So
well, let's just jump right into the playoff predictions, because we've gone through, for those that haven't listened for the last 4 weeks, we've gone through all four divisions in both AFC and AFC. We did it, by division. We went north, south, east, and west. We did not do it in that order. I don't remember the order we went in. It's been 4 weeks, but
we went west, east, north, south. That's the order we went in.
That sounds right.
I remember.
So
I don't want to go playoff predictions. I want to tease them and leave them hanging.
Well,
let's go award predictions first.
Okay. Let's go award predictions.
Playing it on the fly.
What do you want to start out with?
I don't know, man. You're the go like the. We did this last year of like which one's the least exciting and go least exciting to most exciting.
Let's go Coach of the Year, because I think that's least exciting.
Yeah, nobody like gears up for this one.
I mean, Coach of the Year, it's a perfectly fine award, but it usually either goes to a rookie.
It's a perfectly fine award.
It either goes to a rookie head coach that seems to exceed expectations, or it goes to a somewhat established coach that just balls out and goes 15-2, 16-1, something like that. So yeah. Who do you have as your Coach of the Year for the 2022 NFL season?
I just like how much of a mouthful that was. I'm going with a guy who I think that there's a lot of people who have hyped up this team that I'm about to plug here, and we might have even slept on them a little bit so far, and I think they could surpass expectations from last season. I'm gonna go Nick Sirianni, coach of the Philadelphia Eagles. I think that what he's done in Philly in a quitty pick rebuild, in a pretty quick rebuild, has been really impressive. I was thinking about it earlier today that it's like, man, you think about the fact that this Eagles team, which looked a little different. I mean, it's not been a complete rebuild, but this Eagles team won the Super Bowl, what was it, 4 years ago, 5 years ago? I mean, recently, right?
Right.
Meanwhile, the Atlanta Falcons went to the Super Bowl in 2016 and haven't even sniffed it since. So, I'm impressed by the Eagles' ability, and I guess that's more the front office, but their ability to rebuild quickly, and a lot of times the coach gets to have credit for it. So I'm going to go Nick Sirianni. We don't need to hang out on Coach of the Year too much. I don't have to justify this too much.
Yeah, that's a sneaky good pick. I could see that happening, especially if the Eagles have a fantastic season, like me and you both think they will, and like most people think they will. I think most people probably have them winning the East. If they don't have them, they have the Dallas Cowboys, which is also very fair.
Yeah,
I'm going with a little bit of a crazy one.
If Matt LaFleur comes out of your mouth, I'm going to
come through this might even be a spicy one, maybe.
I'll be the determiner of what's spicy and what's not spicy.
Mainly because we have crapped on this guy a lot.
Oh no! But don't you do this? Don't you do this to me?
I'm going with Brandon Staley, and here's the reason why.
You don't get a spicy take. You get just a look of disapproval and disappointment.
Here's my reasoning. I truly believe that the Chargers are the second best team in the AFC, maybe even the best team in the AFC. They're right there with the Bills. I think it's 1A, 1B. And I think that the Chargers are going to go 15-2. Now, a lot of that, I believe that's what I had them going, was 15-2. Yes, 15-2. Now, a lot of that, I think, relies on Brandon Staley getting out of his own way, learning from the mistakes that he made last year. Stop relying so heavily on analytics. I like doing that. I like the Madden style coach that on 4th and 1, even if you're within field goal range, you're still going for it, or even 4th and 2, 4th and 3. But there's a time and a place for it. I think there's smart times to do that, especially when it's still first half, still early in the game, and there's dumb times to do it when it's fourth quarter and you don't need the touchdown, you need the points. So if he can get out of his own way, stop making those kind of mistakes, stop doing what he did in that freaking game against the Raiders last year where he calls a timeout because he wants to be the one to win the game instead of playing for the tie and going to the playoffs. If he stops making those kind of decisions, I think that this team absolutely should go 15-2 or close to it, 14-3, something like that, because this team is stacked. And I think that, as I said in the lead up to Coach of the Year, when you have established coaches have records like that, that puts them on the map for Coach of the Year. So I don't think it's a crazy pick, although it's crazy for us because we both crapped on him a lot.
Yeah, we don't really like him on this show, but I will halt my slander if he does learn from his mistakes and if he can lead this team into a, if he makes reasonable decisions. Like, I'm all for going for it occasionally, situationally, trying to figure things out and do things like that. But
yes,
it's also like he's not oh my gosh, I can't even talk. He's not even situationally like thinking about it. He's just like, he doesn't care when it is in the game or what the repercussions are. He's just thinking like a robot of like, okay, it is 4th and 4. We can get it on this play. And it's like, but if you don't, you're giving up at least a field goal.
Yeah, so it's been too much numbers and analytics and not enough football IQ, I guess, like knowing the game and like knowing the feel of it and like, hey, yes, statistically this might be the smarter move, but the actual smarter and safer move is to do this.
Football ain't played on paper.
Right. But I like the cojones on a coach that goes for it as much as he likes to and goes for 2 as much as he likes to. So I do. While I hate that it's not worked out for him thus far, I do also love that aspect of his coaching. And I think if he can figure out a way to just tone it back a little bit, just tone it down the tiniest amount to where you stop making those decisions when it's stupid to and make them when it's smart to, I think that he'll have a lot of success out there in LA.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's move over to comeback player. I think that's the next least spiciest one.
That's what I have next in boring list.
So who you got for comeback?
I'm going Christian McCaffrey, man. I think that obviously it's all hypothetical, but like Christian McCaffrey is the prototypical perfect running back for today's NFL
Yeah.
if he can stay healthy. Like, he's so good with the ball in open space. He can run up the middle if he needs to. More importantly, he is a number one option in the passing game,
Yeah.
which is, I mean, just unheard of for a guy who can also run outside that, run well. So, I think that if he stays healthy, there's nobody who. I mean, I saw some weird ones today that like technically Baker Mayfield could be comeback player of the year, and I'm like, I
No.
don't how like he didn't miss that much time last year
Yeah,
to make him.
that's a really wonky one. I haven't seen
Yeah.
that one.
Um, Derrick Henry, I think, is also another that he definitely. I mean, if he does what he was on pace to do last year, I think he wins comeback player of the year. So, but I don't know. Yeah, I'm with you, Christian McCaffrey.
Yeah, I think honestly, as long as either of those guys stays healthy and plays a full season, maybe even not a full season, maybe 14, 15 games, and put up the numbers that we're accustomed to seeing from those guys, I think it could go to either one of them.
Right.
But yeah, Run CMC he's the best in the game when he's healthy, and he hasn't been for the last 2 years, and it's been unfortunate for fans of the game. It's been unfortunate for fantasy players that drafted him number one overall, and it's one of those things that just as a fan of the game, you want to see that guy succeed. Like, you want to see him back out there on the field. Football's more fun when you're watching Christian McCaffrey ball out. So hopefully everything works out. Hopefully he can stay on the field. And do what he did when he was last out there in 2019, because he had a monster season. I'm excited and hopeful at the same time.
Yeah.
You want to talk rookies next?
Yeah, let's go rookies.
Let's go defensive first. Defensive rookie of the year.
I'm just gonna go ahead and spice this one up.
Oh man.
With how good that Eagles defense is, I think one player who's gonna shine, maybe a little bit of a homer pick, on this one. I think Jordan Davis, defensive tackle out of UGA, stuffing up the middle. I think this dude is an unbelievable force of nature. And I think that as far as the other rookies go, they're not in as good of situations where you've got guys like Trayvon Walker who he might have a good season, but like who else do you have to worry about on that defense? So like he's gonna draw a lot of attention. Same thing with Aiden Hutchinson. Trying to think of who else were some of the other front runners, but yeah, I just think highly of Jordan Davis, and I would love to see this guy just wreck the league.
Yeah, I like that pick. I did think about Aiden Hutchinson for a minute there, just because of how much I love Detroit. And I think that they're going to have a good season. I think a big part of that is going to be him on that defensive line, locking it down. But I went with a pick that I think is a position that gets overlooked a lot for defensive awards, defensive and end of the year awards, mainly because it's tough to get the super flashy stats with it. And I went with Sauce Gardner. I think that, I mean, this is a kid that didn't allow a touchdown his entire college career. I think that says a lot. Now, granted, he did play for Cincinnati, so he played against a lot of weaker teams. But I think he's going to have a really good season. I just feel good about this guy. I think he was one of the guys that you paid a lot of attention to because there was a lot of links between him and Atlanta potentially.
Yeah.
I was hoping that maybe possibly Green Bay could snag him somehow, but he was too gone. He was too good. It was going to be long gone. And I think he's going to be really good up there for a potentially sneaky good Jets defense if a lot of things click.
Yeah, that's fair.
I think he's gonna make an impact right away for them. So yeah, that's why I went with him. Fair.
I can see that. Yeah.
Offensive rookie of the year. Who do you got?
Where did I put this? Oh, that which is just called rookie of the year, right? They don't do like defensive, offensive, and then rookie of the year.
Right, there's just an offensive rookie and a defensive rookie of the year. Yeah.
Okay. I went with Houston Texans running back Damian Pierce.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I just think running back is going to be. I don't trust any of these quarterbacks to be honestly starting for enough of the season to get recognition,
Fair.
because none of them are starting week 1, right?
Right.
Um, and then I saw a lot of people picking George Pickens. I don't think that's a bad pick, but I think picking a wide receiver on that team is a little weird because they have so many other options.
Yeah.
I see him that he might be more like third option, and I don't see a third option receiver winning Rookie of the Year. I don't know about Drake London's already got an injury, plus he's got Marcus Mariota and maybe Desmond Ritter throwing to him. Um, Same thing with a couple of the other wide receivers, just not sure about their consistent usage. So Damian Pierce, that's my long-winded explanation of why I picked him.
That's actually a really good one that I completely forgot about. Um,
Did my research, man.
the one running back that I saw mentioned a lot was Breece Hall for the Jets. However, the Jets also just drafted Michael Carter last year, and I don't think
Yeah,
Breece Hall is going to get the majority of the snaps. If anything, it's going to be more close to a 50-50 split.
that's what I think.
And I don't think that you're going to be able to put up Rookie of the Year type numbers when you're only getting 50-50 splits. So he's
Yeah.
either going to have to ball out like crazy earlier in the season to warrant getting more snaps, or it's just not going to happen for him.
Yeah.
So Pierce is actually a really good pick because they just cut Marlon Mack. So the guy that everybody presumed was going to be the starter there is now gone. That's a really good pick.
And that's a big reason why I'm high on Damian Pierce is because they cut Marlon Mack. And
Right.
it's like, okay, so they really believe in this guy.
Right. Because I'm with you. I don't think any of the quarterbacks will get enough playing time to really put themselves in the race. The only one that I could see would be Kenny Pickett, and that's assuming that he gets that starting job sooner rather than later in the season. I'm looking for like about a week 4 for them to transfer over the reins to him, if not sooner than that. I think he outplayed Trubisky in the preseason. I think he should be the week 1 starter, but I don't make those decisions.
Did
And
you see where Ben Roethlisberger came out today and said that Mitch Trubisky is I think he said he's earned the starting job or something like that. Like he said something like it should be Mitch. It's not Kenny yet.
well, Big Ben's not
Oh.
in the league, so I don't care about his opinion.
Hey,
And then for Ritter, I think I've said it before that I look at that week 7, week 8 spot as the sweet spot. If Mariota's having a good season, then obviously you keep him in there. But if he's having a down year, then I would say that's about the time to start making that switch to Ritter and see what he's got. But I say all
who
that.
do you?
I have Drake London as offensive rookie of the year.
Okay.
And I think that I went with him because I have a decent amount of faith in this Falcons offense. I think this Falcons offense could surprise a lot of people.
Yeah.
A lot of that relies on quality quarterback play, whether it is Marcus Mariota, whether it is Desmond Ritter. But I think that whoever's back there, they're really going to be throwing the ball to either Kyle Pitts or Drake London. Brian Edwards could sneak in there and get those wide receiver 3 type numbers. But I think that your first 2 options are going to be Pitts and London. Now that's assuming that London's going to be all right, the injury doesn't linger, whatever.
Right.
But I didn't really love any of the other wide receivers in their landing spots. I think the best potential one, the one that I saw on most people's lists, was Chris Olave down in New Orleans. But I don't trust Jameis Winston. I don't trust that offense when it's not being led by Sean Payton. So to me, Drake London is the best potential one. The other one could be Christian Watson up in Green Bay, but I don't think Watson's going to get enough of the looks. It's not a great wide receiver room up there, but it is a little bit of a crowded one. And I don't think Watson's done enough in preseason, mainly because he hasn't played and he's been dealing with injury also, to really stand out as the number 1 option there. So I don't know. It's a really weird year for rookies.
It really is.
I think we both felt that way when we did our deep keeper league. we're in a league where we have 14 keepers, which is a ridiculous amount. And
Crazy.
basically every year,
And it's a 12-team league, right?
I think it's up to 14 now. It's
Sheesh,
a
man.
lot. But basically every year we just almost exclusively draft rookies, and
Yep.
this year was really tough because there's just no real standout ones.
Yeah,
I mean, it's a tough rookie class. Um,
absolutely.
well, let's move on to let's go offensive player of the year first.
Okay.
Who you got
Okay.
for offensive player?
Um, so this one to me, it's a little bit difficult because it's like I feel like if Christian McCaffrey wins comeback player of the year, that means that he's outperformed Derrick Henry because Derrick Henry is also eligible for comeback player of the year.
Right.
So it would be hard for me. I was thinking Derrick Henry offensive player of the year, but it's like, well, if I think that Christian McCaffrey is going to outplay Derrick Henry, then so I just went Christian McCaffrey. I think if Christian McCaffrey is good enough to steal comeback player of the year,
Yeah.
I think that he's probably going to be good enough to be offensive player of the year.
Yeah, that's fair. I almost went CMC as well, for those exact same reasons. I changed it up a little bit though. I have a really good feeling about Nick Chubb this year.
Ooh.
Uh,
Didn't you pick him last year for our
I think
offensive player of the
I
year?
feel like I did, and he got injured down the stretch. He still was, I think, top 3 in rushing yards. Maybe top 4. I don't remember. I know that Henry and Chubb were both in the top 5, and they didn't play but like a little over half the season, which is crazy. But I feel good about Chubb, and here's why: because I think that with old Massage Boy being out for 11 games,
Yep.
they're going to rely on him so much more than they have the last couple years, because Jacoby Brissett's not going to get it done in the passing game. He's not even. I don't even think that they're going to go out there and attempt more than 30 passes with him, and I think that's being generous. And so I think that Chubb's going to get a lot of the snaps, and with Kareem Hunt not necessarily wanting to be in Cleveland anymore, that's automatically going to reduce his snap count, which
Yeah.
everything points to Chubb having a really good season as long as he can stay healthy, come back from his injury, and be what we all expect Nick Chubb to be. So that's why I went with him. I could see it going to whoever the second best quarterback is, like it typically does. But I hate doing that. Like if MVP is going to be a quarterback only award, like it usually is, I'm not making Offensive Player of the Year quarterback give me
Yeah.
award either. I'm gonna switch it up and pick someone different.
Yeah. And I was torn. I've got my MVP pick, which is a quarterback. And I
Same
think
here.
there's really two other quarterbacks I could see winning it, but I didn't want to. I couldn't decide between them, so I went CMC. But
Yeah, and like I said, I almost went with him too because if he comes out like we all expect him to, and plays like the CMC of old, he's absolutely going to be in the running. If he plays well enough to win comeback player of the year, he's going to be in the running for offensive player of the year. So I too almost went with him, but decided to switch it up a little bit, man.
there you go.
Defensive player, who you got?
All right. I think this one might warrant
Oh man,
a little spice, not a whole lot of spice. Um, I went with Joey Bosa.
okay, all
I
right,
think that defense is gonna be unbelievable.
yeah.
Um, I'm a little mad at myself for not taking them in the draft in our league. I've thought several times, and what's crazy is I have the Bills defense, and I've thought, do I want to drop the Bills defense and pick up the Chargers defense? Because that's how much I believe in this Chargers defense.
Yeah.
With Khalil Mack on the other side of him, I think that Joey Bosa could have an argument for Defensive Player of the Year. I think that Myles Garrett might get too tired. That offense in Cleveland is going to struggle a whole lot. And so Cleveland's defense is going to have to be on the field a lot.
Right.
Potentially the same is true with TJ Watt. And he's got the injury questions, like, I mean, let's hope not. But,
Yeah.
um, you know, So I just went out on a limb. Went Joey Bosa.
That's a fun one. I like that pick.
Thank you.
As I've mentioned earlier, I'm very high on this Chargers team, so a big part of that is the defense. I think Khalil Mack playing next to him is going to open up a lot for Bosa, a lot of opportunities for him. If you double both those guys, that's 4 of the offensive linemen, so then they're not going to do that, obviously.
Yeah, definitely not.
But I went a little bit of a different route. I took my talents down to Texas, and I chose Micah Parsons. Dallas Cowboys.
For some reason I was thinking Houston, and I was like, "Who on earth?"
There's no good defensive player in Houston.
That's fair. No, Micah Parsons is a good pick, and I probably would have picked him had you not said in the Discord that you were already taking him. And I was like, I don't want to just pick him then.
I mean, to me, like, Micah Parsons made an argument for Defensive Player of the Year last year as a rookie. As a rookie. So you would only presume that he would be even better in year 2. At least I think that's the hope.
Just like Chase Young.
Oh, yeah. Well, yeah. But this guy balled out last year. Did it all on that Dallas defense. I think he's going to just do even more this year. He wants to set that sack record. I don't know if that's going to happen. But if he's used more as an edge rusher, I could see it absolutely happening. And in my opinion, the 2 best defensive players last year were T.J. Watt and Micah Parsons. And the only reasons why I would give the edge to T.J. Watt is because he's more experienced. But going into year 2, Micah Parsons already got that 1 year of experience. I think he's just going to take a step forward. And I expect him to have a monster season for Dallas.
Yeah. I could see it happening.
All right. The fun one.
The big one, right?
The fun one. MVP of the NFL in 2022. We already got our good buddy Hayden's prediction last week. Yep. He predicted Matt Ryan. I like that pick. I was tempted to go that route also. I do think Matt Ryan's going to have a great season in Indy. But
and we also know Peter's pick would be Patrick Mahomes.
No, I don't even Patrick need Mahomes his every year.
I don't need his input. He doesn't even have to say it. But Peter, who we had on for the West show, he would absolutely be picking Patrick Mahomes.
Now, Patrick Mahomes could retire tomorrow, and Peter would still say give the MVP to him at the end of the year. Yeah. Like it doesn't. Yeah, it doesn't matter. But who do you have?
I think this is the one that I have the most hope in. Okay. That like all of these other ones, it's like I don't really care. This one, I care. I think this is the year that finally Russell Wilson brings home an MVP trophy.
I like it.
I think that Russ can have an absolutely stellar season. He's got a pretty good offensive line. He has got one of the better receiving cores he's had of his entire career. And so, which is spicy in and of itself. But I think this is Russ's year. Give me Russell Wilson as MVP of the 2022 NFL season.
I like it. I kept mine in the same division.
Did you?
Any guesses as to who I went with?
Oh, no, you didn't. Oh, my gosh.
I don't think it's who you think it is.
Well, that's that.
But just take a wild guess.
Did you pick Matt Stafford?
No, I didn't. Matt Stafford's not in the same division.
Oh, you're right. I was just thinking NFC West. AFC West. Herbert.
I went with Herbert, yeah. Which is maybe the safe pick. A lot of people are picking him this year. But again, if the Chargers are going to go 15-2, like I think they will, then a big part of that is great play from Justin Herbert, who in his 2 seasons has only had great play. He's been phenomenal. Career completion percentage right now at 66.2% completion percentage. He's thrown for just under 10,000 yards in his 2 seasons with 69 touchdowns, 25 interceptions. Last year, 38 TDs, 15 picks. I just think that he's going to take that next step again and keep getting better and better. And I think he's going to be a top 5 quarterback for, I don't know, the next decade, and really lead this Chargers team to hopefully a Super Bowl at some point. I don't know about this year, spoiler alert, but it'd be fun. I like the Chargers. I want to see them succeed. They had so many years of being right there and couldn't quite get over the hump to get Phillip Rivers and LT into the Super Bowl. But I think this is the guy that's going to get them there.
Yeah, I'm with you. Yeah, I almost, so he was one of my picks for one of my quarterbacks that I considered for Offensive Player of the Year was either him or Josh Allen as Offensive Player of the Year. So
I almost went Josh Allen for MVP. I think he's another one of those guys that's kind of like the safe pick.
That's who most people are picking.
I also expect Josh Allen to be right there in the mix. But I don't know. I have a good feeling about Herbert, and I think Allen will win one eventually. But I've also thought the same thing about Russ, and here he stands. I don't know, a decade into his career now, and he still doesn't have one. So
we just got to start the narrative of Russ, reminding everyone he hasn't won an MVP.
I'm here for it.
The narrative will get him one.
I'm here for it.
In his play.
I like it.
Yeah, man.
So let's jump back over to the playoff predictions. If you've listened through the last 4 weeks, you kind of know already who we have in the playoff. In the playoffs, we're not going to go through all the divisions again, but I'll go through and give you all of my teams making the playoffs. I'm not going to do the seeding.
Oh man, I don't even have all of my teams making the playoffs.
Oh, well, that's fine. I'll give mine. In the NFC, I have the Packers, Bucks, Eagles, and Rams as your division winners, with the Cowboys, Lions, and Cardinals getting wild cards. In the AFC, I have the Bengals, Colts, Bills, and Chargers as your division winners, with the Raiders, Broncos, and Chiefs getting the wild cards.
If you give me like 15 seconds, okay, I can get mine pulled up.
That's fine. That's fair. I'm not going to give the seeding because I don't remember the seeding, and I don't think it's terribly important. And I'm definitely not going to get into each matchup and predict each matchup. But we will get into our Super Bowl predictions.
I actually do have my seeding. In the AFC, I have the Bills, Chargers, Bengals, Colts, Broncos, Pats. Is 7 teams, right?
Yeah.
And Chiefs making the playoffs.
So pretty close. I think the only switch is you have the Pats in there instead of the Raiders for me.
Yeah. And then sorry.
Oh boy.
Maddie just texted me. She's in the next room and she said, "Is there a snake in our house or do you have a maraca?" Is that a snake or are you just happy to see me? I have a maraca. If you can hear me, I have a maraca. Also, I don't think rattlesnakes are native to Georgia. I could be wrong on that, but
definitely not.
So yeah, that was my AFC. In the NFC, she's calling me. Oh my gosh. Hey, you're on the podcast now. You want to say hello to everybody?
Hello, everybody.
Yeah, I just told them what you said because it made me laugh. No, it's a maraca.
Okay.
You're standing on the bed because you thought that there was a rattlesnake in our house. All right, I love you. You're welcome for not having a snake. Oh, that's good content right there. That's good. All right, so in the NFC, I have the 49ers in the 1 seed, then the Packers, the Cowboys, the Panthers, the Eagles, the Rams, the Bucks, And that's it because it's only 7. I almost went the Lions at 8.
NFC, we are pretty different on.
Very different.
Yeah.
But
all right.
Yeah.
So the big game coming up, I think second week of February. Who's going to be playing in it?
All right. I even have my AFC and NFC championship game predictions.
Oh, geez. I did not do that.
So I'll give you those. In the AFC, I have the Chargers and the Bills in the AFC. And then I have the NFC with the Eagles and the 49ers is my NFC championship game. And the Super Bowl, I have the Los Angeles Chargers defeating the San Francisco 49ers.
That is a very interesting matchup, especially considering the fact that I had the Niners going 6-11 this year. You are way higher on them than I am, which is fine. I mean, listen, I think a lot of people were very low on the Bengals last year, and the Bengals came out of nowhere to make the Super Bowl and lose. So the 49ers could do the same thing. I didn't pick my championship game in the AFC, but if I had to, I probably would do the same thing, Chargers and Bills. Except I would have the Bills winning. I have the Bills going to the Super Bowl. I think I picked the Bills to go last year. And in February, our last podcast of last season, I said, who's going to the Super Bowl next year if you had a blind pick, and we both picked the Bills. I'm sticking with the Bills. I think the Bills are going to the Super Bowl. I think they are the most complete team in the NFL. The Chargers are right there, very close. The only reason why I have the Bills making it is simply because of playoff experience. I think playoff experience, I do think that says or has a lot more to do with teams in the playoffs than some people think. I do think it's a real thing. I think when you haven't been there before, the moment can be a little bit too big for some teams. I'm not saying that's the case for the Chargers. I could see the Chargers making it too. But the Bills have been there. They just have not been able to get over the Kansas City hump for whatever reason. And I think this year they do. And they end up facing the Chargers.
City hump. That needs to be Peter's new fantasy team name. Kansas City hump.
They end up facing the Chargers in the championship game. They get into the Super Bowl. On the NFC side, if I had to pick... So I have my team from the NFC, but if I had to pick who they faced,
I bet it's the Green Bay Packers.
You know what would be a good one? All right, I'm gonna go with this. I'm gonna say Packers Cowboys NFC Championship game.
Okay.
And I do have the Packers in the Super Bowl. I mean, there is some bias there for sure. I will admit that 100%. But what's weird is that this is maybe the first time in a long time that I think the reason they get there is that defense. That defense is arguably the best in the NFC, potentially the best in the NFL.
I agree.
And defense wins championships.
Yep.
And so I think when it comes to January football, if Rodgers can't get it done, that defense is going to be able to back him up. And so that's why I have them getting the Super Bowl. However, I have the Bills winning.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of that is just optimism and hope as an NFL fan for this franchise that deserves a Super Bowl. They went to 4 in a row, famously back in the 90s, and lost every single one of them. They just haven't been able to capture that elusive Lombardi, and I feel like if there's a team that's going to do it, it's this current team in Buffalo.
So I just worry about... Okay, to me, the reason I didn't pick the Bills is because everybody's picking the Bills.
That's fair.
And it's like,
I realize that. I realize that.
In my mind, it was like, there's no way that everybody thinks the Bills are going to win the Super Bowl and they're just going to do it. Like, and so, I mean, obviously they could. Like, I have them in the Rams.
That's what the Rams did last year, though.
I mean, I guess, but there were so many other teams that had an argument for it. Like,
fair, yeah.
I mean, like the Chiefs. Like, I think that it was like, oh, it's going to be Chiefs-Rams in the Super Bowl. Like, that's what everybody expected. I I don't think that there was as much of a darling last year as the Bills are this year. And
That's fair.
so, and then the reason I picked the 49ers is, like you said, defense wins championships. That team was real close to going to the Super Bowl last year.
Yeah, they were.
And now they get Eli Mitchell, isn't that his name?
Yeah.
Eli Mitchell back running the ball. They did that last year with a wide receiver as their running back. Like, they almost got to the Super Bowl with a wide receiver as their running back. So now they get to have a more established run game. That defense that's young has just gotten a little bit older. I don't know. I'm really high on this 49ers team, and I'm really high on the Chargers. I guess I'm just California biased this year.
I mean, that's fine. My biggest concern with San Francisco is Trey Lance. That's my big question mark, is what is he going to be in
Have they
year
officially
2?
named him the starter?
I believe so.
Okay. I just know that they just gave Jimmy G a new contract.
Yes.
Which made me think that
I mean, that does kind of send a message that you don't have 100% faith in Trey Lance. But they gave him a new contract with the assumption that he's going to be the backup, as far as I know. He's going to be the backup. And they made it a contract that is tradable. Like, other teams would be interested in taking that contract on. However, weirdly, they did put a no trade clause in there. So they can't trade him away without him signing off on it.
Yeah. That's true. I did see that. All right, so let's see. Let's see what it says. 49ers release official depth chart. This is as of today.
Mm-hmm.
They released their depth chart for the season. And you're right, QB1 is Trey Lance. So we will see. I didn't realize that they had officially given over the reins. That might change my outlook on this team a little bit. But I mean, let's be honest, if Trey Lance plays any better than Jimmy G,
fair, yeah.
I mean, this team is going to the Super Bowl, because they did it with Jimmy G last year, and he wasn't. He might have been the reason they lost, but
I mean, but Jimmy G's he's not a bad quarterback, as we've discussed before. Like, he is a perfectly fine game manager type quarterback, maybe even an elevated game manager. We've talked about Mac Jones maybe being in that territory.
Solid QB.
Right? Yeah. I mean, I'm not knocking the pick. I just don't.
You did have them at 6 wins. So.
Right, and I said in that episode that's probably a lot closer to the floor.
Yeah.
And to me, it's because of Trey Lance. The Trey Lance question is my whole thing with San Francisco. But we could go into week 5, week 6, and all that's in the rear view. And Trey Lance is in MVP consideration.
That would be wild.
I mean, crazy things happen every year in the NFL. But I think that's a solid start to the episode. Get the predictions out of the way, and I think we can officially turn our eyes to week 1 of the NFL. Week 1 is here, and I say it's time. I've been waiting 7 months to do this.
You've been
waiting, and I think it's time that we get picky with it.
Na 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 na, getting picky with it. Na 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 na, wicked. Na 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 na, getting picky with it. Bow.
Starting us off Thursday night, September 8th, the NFL kickoff game. We got my Super Bowl prediction champs, the Buffalo Bills, heading out west to LA to face the reigning Super Bowl champs, Los Angeles Rams. Currently, weirdly, you want to hear a weird thing? Currently, Buffalo, 2.5-point favorites on the road against the reigning Super Bowl champs.
I don't think it's that weird.
I mean, to me, that kind of says a little bit about what Vegas thinks about this Rams team. But I don't know. I feel good about Buffalo in this game, but I'm not going to give my official prediction yet. Who you got, man?
I do have the Bills in this game. I think, well, one, we know that Vegas always be knowing something. They know something we don't know. They don't make them monies because they're just guessing. Like, they know something. And I don't know if you remember this, but I was not very high on the Rams. I think that they're aging. I think they're They might have hit their peak. It's kind of like a Los Angeles Lakers that you get Anthony Davis and LeBron and you win one ring and then it's like, okay, well now they're grandpas.
I
So
mean, LeBron also tore that team completely down to nothing but him and AD. So
and won a championship. I mean,
no. I mean, since winning the
oh,
championship,
that's fair.
they're
That's
the
fair.
only two players left on that team. The only two members of like the team, the coaching staff, any of that are still on
That's
that
fair.
team.
That's fair. But yeah, so I think that the Rams are aging down and the Bills are aging up. So give me the Bills. You know, I think the Bills are probably going to be the darling of the show for a while, as they are with everybody this year.
Yeah.
But do you have the Rams winning, or did you also go with the darling Bills?
So typically, I think most people would say to bet the home team in the kickoff game.
Yeah.
I think historically, it's always the reigning champs facing whoever at home, almost always.
Right.
And I think more times than not, the home team wins. The reigning champs come out strong. There's just a lot of pomp and circumstance. You got the raising of the banner. They get you got the rings, all that crap. Yeah. So those players,
Stafford still might be hungover though.
Those players are fired up. However, I've said it. I think the Bills are the most complete team in the league, and I got them winning this game.
Yeah.
I think Buffalo gets it done. I'm kind of with you.
Statement win.
I don't think LA's going to have the kind of season they had last year. I think that the Rams are definitely aging. And maybe a sneaky storyline in this game that I just thought of. Didn't Von Miller go to the Rams in that trade last year?
Yes. So Von Miller won the Super Bowl with the Rams last year.
And now he's in Buffalo.
He's in Buffalo, which I forgot about.
Sneaky. I forgot about till just now as well, but sneaky storyline to follow. Yeah, I've got Buffalo. Maybe Von Miller has a pretty good game.
Yeah, I mean, he should know. He should know what he's doing out there. He's been doing it for a while.
Let's go over to Sunday. We've got them Saints from New Orleans traveling up to ATL to face your Dirty Birds in Atlanta at Mercedes-Benz Stadium. Currently, New Orleans are 5.5-point favorites. Maybe a little high. I have a sneaking suspicion as to who you have in this game, just based off of the craziness that you brought up last week. But I'm going to ask you anyways, who you got, man?
Listen, giving the Saints 5.5 in our house is just straight up disrespectful. And I will not stand for it. And there ain't no way these New Orleans Saints are, one, winning the game. Two, there ain't no way they're winning by 5.5 in a division rivalry away. That's my thing, is it's like, come on now. It's division away. Anybody, I mean, we watched the Lions beat the Packers last year. Like, right? Didn't they beat the Packers? Or did they beat the Vikings late in the season?
They beat the Vikings.
They beat the Vikings, which the Vikings were a significantly better team, record-wise at least. So, I don't know. Listen, ain't no way. There's nothing about this Saints team that actually scares me. Marcus Mariota in every statistical category is better than Jameis Winston. The Saints have Dennis Allen, who is an unknown as a head coach. They don't have Sean Payton anymore. And you've lost both of your starting safeties and replaced them with old man Tyrann Mathieu. So, anyway, I could rant about this for a long time. I think that the Falcons' defense is going to come out and surprise everybody and show everybody that, yes, Jameis Winston still does love to turn the ball over, because he's going to. And Falcons win this game.
What's the points that they win by? How many points?
See, I don't usually think that way. But I could see it being like a 14-10 game. Like, okay. I could see the Falcons winning by.
So like I mean, like a 4-point game.
Yeah, I could see it being even a field goal game. I I don't know that it's going to be a super high scoring game
That's fair.
because I think the strength of both of these teams is their defense. Potentially, the Saints, it might be their offense, but even then, an offense run by Jameis Winston and a defensive-minded head coach that's not Sean Payton,
Yeah.
I don't have much faith in that. So
I think it's hard to tell for both these teams at this point because there's so many question marks.
Yeah.
I have the Saints winning this one. I didn't want to pick the Saints. I really wanted to pick the Falcons. But
yeah,
I don't think everything is there for Atlanta yet. I think they're gonna. I don't think this is gonna be a blowout loss. I think this is gonna be a close game. I think 4 points is perfectly fair. I think it's gonna be a 4-point game. But I think that maybe there's a little more experience on that New Orleans side. Maybe. I don't think everything is there for Atlanta yet. I do still feel good about this team. I think they're going to be just fine. I think only losing by 4 is going to kind of still build a little confidence in themselves that they went out there and hung with a potential Super Bowl contender for a lot of people for whatever reason. I think that will still build confidence in that locker room. I think they'll be just fine. But I have the Saints. I don't know.
Yeah.
Like I said, I want to pick the Falcons.
Right.
Something about me just can't do it yet.
No, listen. I know that I think most everybody is picking the Saints in this one, and there's nothing in me that thinks like I don't look at anybody and think, man, what an idiot for picking the Saints. It's just like, well, I can't wait for the Falcons to come out and prove everybody wrong. Because this is one of the few years that I'm like, people are underestimating Atlanta. I think that, and you think the same
I agree.
thing. Yeah. I don't think that the Falcons are a playoff team. I don't think that the Falcons are going to win the division. I don't think the Falcons are the second best team in the division.
If everything goes right, they could be in the mix.
Yes, I loved what one of the guys on 92.9 The Game said today in Sports Talk in Atlanta. They said if Marcus Mariota starts 17 games this year, the Falcons are over 500. And that's absolutely true. If Marcus Mariota can play well enough to keep Desmond Ridder on the bench all season, then that means that he is playing at the level that he has been expected to play, that Tennessee level, you know?
Yeah.
So that's what, for me, I have high hopes for Mariota not being injured. I really like Arthur Smith's offense. He made Ryan Tannehill look good. So,
and he did a lot. He did a lot in his first season with a terrible team.
Yeah,
a terrible team. That in my opinion, has only gotten better since last year.
Yes, and I think so lowly of the Saints, that this to me is one of the winnable games on the Falcons schedule. And so that's why, honestly, that's why I have them winning this game. Is I don't think very highly of New Orleans. And it's in Atlanta. If this game were in New Orleans, I probably would pick the Saints.
Fair.
But
fair. Well, let's go up to the Windy City where we got I'm calling them yours because you're so high on them. Your San Francisco 49ers are heading up to face the Chicago Bears. It's a battle of second-year quarterbacks. We got Trey Lance going up against Justin Fields. I think this is going to be a one-sided affair. San Francisco are currently 7-point favorites. I think you can make an argument that it should be higher than that. And I'm not even high on the 49ers. I just think that the Bears are that bad.
Bad.
I think the Bears could be one of the 2 worst teams in the league. I think a lot of people think it's the Falcons for whatever reason, and I don't understand it. I think this Bears team is significantly worse. But who you got, man?
I absolutely have the 49ers in this one. There's no doubt about it.
Yes.
Yeah, I think that the Bears team is so devoid of talent on both sides of the ball that it's not even funny. And I'm with you. This could be Justin Fields' last year as a starting quarterback in the NFL. Yeah. If this is the worst team in football, they're drafting one of these guys that looks like they could be a stud in
drafting Bryce Young,
Stroud or Bryce Young. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I would be weary to go the Ohio State route again because Ohio State quarterbacks have
Buyer beware on that one.
I want somebody, and if you're in our Discord and you're listening to this, please let me know the last good Ohio State quarterback because I cannot think of one.
I actually had somebody on Twitter bring this up the other day when I got in an argument with them when I said the same thing, and they were like, Joe Burrow, and I was like,
no,
that doesn't count. He played 5 games at Ohio State.
That's like calling Justin Fields a Georgia quarterback, and he's not.
That's true. He's not.
Yeah, I genuinely cannot think of the last good Ohio State quarterback. That was drafted from. Right. There's been so many that have been so highly touted, and none of them have worked out. None of them.
Nope.
So, I think Justin Fields is going to be the next one in a long line of Ohio State.
What a legacy.
Failures.
What a legacy to be a part of. Way to go, Justin Fields. You did it. Part of a legacy.
Yeah. So let's move on to Cincinnati. We got the reigning AFC champs facing their division rivals. The Pittsburgh Steelers come barreling into Cincy. Currently, the Bengals are 6.5-point favorites. I think that's fair. I would have a lot more faith in the Steelers if they were choosing the right quarterback to start week 1, but you're rolling with the garbage that is Mitch Trubisky. And yes, I'm calling him garbage. I know that you have different feelings, but again, as a Packers fan, I watched a decent amount of Bears games. I saw what he was. He is not good. And I'm sticking by that. I stand by Trubisky is terrible. Kenny Pickett is better and should be starting week 1. But you do you, Mike Tomlin. I can't say anything bad about you. You've had a winning career in the NFL. So, with all that being said, I ask you, who you got, man?
This was honestly kind of a hard one for me to pick. I think that the Bengals are going to have a really tough year this year. It's like everybody on your team lost a loved one to lose the Super Bowl. Like it is devastating. And so I think that they're going to have a really tough year, but I don't think that their year is going to be so tough that they drop this game. I think that the Bengals are going to win this one. I'm not as low on Mitch Trubisky as you are. I will say that I think Mitch Trubisky is really inconsistent. There are some times and like, 50% of the time what you see from him is like, man, he really could be like figuring it out. And then 50% of the time it's like, who were you throwing to? Why did you throw that? Like, so, that's my thing with Mitch Trubisky is he's inconsistent. It's not that he's bad. It's that he's inconsistent. Which is, consistency is what you need to play quarterback in the NFL.
Yeah,
if anything, that's probably what's made Tom Brady is that he is consistent. But anyway, I've got the Bengals in this one. I still think the Bengals are the more talented team. But honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if this is a split series. Like if at home the Bengals lose to this. At home the Steelers beat the Bengals.
That's fair. I have a question for you. Does it kind of feel like people are sleeping on Cincinnati a little bit? Like they were just in the Super Bowl, and I feel like people aren't giving them the love that you would typically give a reigning AFC champion.
Well, I think that it's twofold. I think that there are a lot of people who I think to all of us, the Bengals making that Super Bowl kind of felt like a fluke. Like the entire, like looking back, hindsight, it all kind of feels like that was kind of weird that happened. Like was this all just a fever dream that we all had?
Sure, but it happened regardless. And like that team, I don't think that team got any worse going into this year.
No, but they lost the Super Bowl. Like that's the other side of that coin is like it kind of felt like a fluke, and then they lost the Super Bowl, which is almost like a curse for teams.
I guess.
So, again, I'm not saying that they can't overcome that. I think that's just what everybody's expectation is this is not a team that was like, man, they've been building for years and they've kind of reached this point where, like the Bills right now are in a situation where people would be surprised if they didn't do well in the playoffs.
Fair.
But the Bengals, it was just kind of like this, all of a sudden, there they are. So I don't think people have the expectation of the Bengals being consistently good, and I think that's probably why you're not hearing as much about them. And they play in the AFC. They have to go against the Bills. They have to go against the Broncos. They have to go against the Chargers.
The AFC is ridiculously stacked, and that's a fair point. I just think the Bengals should be getting a little more love. Like, I don't think there's anything out there that says that this team is absolutely 100% going to be worse going into this season than they were last year.
You're right.
And if anything, I think building on the success they had last year, that they would be even better. The only thing potentially is that Super Bowl hangover of losing and it getting to your head. But I also think that Joe Burrow and the boys are better than that. And I think there's also an element of being young and naive and those things not quite getting to you. Like if Burrow was like a 30-year-old guy and like a 8 or 9 year vet, and he goes and gets into his first Super Bowl and loses, I think it would play more with his head than it does now going into year 3. You know what I mean? Like I think that there's still so much time left for him that it doesn't necessarily phase him. You know what I'm saying? So I don't know how much that Super Bowl hangover will exist for this team, but I think they should get a little bit more love. I think this is still a really good team, and they're going to have a really good season, and that's why I have them winning in Week 1 against the Steelers. I'm with you. I could see the Steelers splitting this series mainly because I think that Steelers team is better than a lot of people think it is, and I think they'll be just fine moving on from Big Ben, assuming that Pickett plays sooner rather than later and Trubisky gets out of there because hot garbage. But let's move over to Michigan, going into Detroit. Ford Field, baby. We got the Philadelphia Eagles surprising folks last year, moving up the charts. A lot of people have them as maybe even the favorites in the NFC going into this season, going up against MC/DC and the boys and the Detroit Lions. Currently, Philly are 4-point favorites. That's fair. That's fair and warranted, given Detroit's history of being unsuccessful. I'll say that. But it's a new era in Detroit, and I'm glad we're all here to witness it. So I ask you, good sir, who you got?
I just want us to slow our roll with saying it's a new era.
It's a new era, man. It's a new era.
They won 3 games last year.
I realize what they did.
It's not. We haven't started the new era yet. Okay,
it's here.
Once they win more than 3 games this year, then we can start calling it a new era. But right now,
all right,
it is the same era so far. They have not turned any pages yet.
You heard it here first, folks. New era begins on Week 5.
I mean, potentially, maybe. I know it's not going to begin this week because there ain't no way they beating them Eagles. Them Eagles is bad dudes, and there's nothing about this. Okay, here's where I see that face that you're making. Did you pick the Lions in this game?
Make your point first.
No. I need to know the answer. I need to know if I'm arguing with nobody or if I'm actually arguing with you.
I absolutely picked MC/DC and the boys.
Oh,
don't get me wrong. Don't get me wrong. I think a lot of that is optimism more than maybe taking a realistic look at it.
Where on this Lions team are they better than the Eagles in any aspect of football?
I don't think the better team wins every Sunday.
I think they do Week 1 though.
I don't know about that. I don't know.
But it's not which team is better. Is there literally any area where the Lions are better? Again, if you're talking about
but at the same time, you would have said that about, I don't know, like 14 of Detroit's games last year. And they were in like 12 of those 14 games, all the way down to the final 2 minutes. So all they have to do is learn how to finish a game, and they can beat teams like Philadelphia.
Maybe.
There's no man, like that's fact. It's like they lost in ridiculous ways last year. Every week they figured out a new way of inventing how to lose. So all they have to do is figure out how to stop doing that. And I have faith that they can do it. I think they can beat Philly.
I have the Eagles in the NFC Championship game, so
Right.
I don't think that that Eagles team loses Week 1 to the Lions.
Which is fair. I mean, a lot of this is the fact that I think that Detroit's going to be fired up coming out the gate. I think they're going. I think.
Who isn't? It's Week 1 of the NFL.
Right, but
if there's any of these teams that
playing,
don't come out fired up, they've already lost.
But they're playing in Detroit.
Nobody wants to play in Detroit, Devin. Stop saying it like it's a bonus. Nobody's like, oh man, I woke up today and I get to go play in Detroit.
I think for the first time in a long time, maybe since the Calvin Johnson days in Detroit, Lions fans are pumped up for this team. And I think that they're going to pack out this stadium. And I think that helps with the team a lot. All right, listen, I'm not going to say that it's even like a 60% chance of Detroit winning. I will say it's probably closer to like 35%. I'll give Detroit a 35% chance. But I picked them because I just have that feeling, man. I have that feeling, and I think that if this team is going to go 10-7 like I have them going, it starts in Week 1. Because if they start out this season losing another game, I think it can snowball quickly for this team.
My spicy take, which your take is spicy enough on its own. I think that the Lions lose this game by 10.
Oh, I don't think it's going to be like that. If they lose, which I think is a big possibility, I think it's going to be 5 or 6 points max.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. But we disagree. Agree to disagree. All right, and I need a bathroom break real bad. Okay. I'll be right back.
All right, no worries. Oh, how's it going, everybody? How's everybody's evening going? Hopefully you're enjoying listening to me and Blake argue, which is what we do best. Baldy, I don't know if you're still in here, but yeah, I do feel bad for Justin Fields. I think he's gonna be the next quarterback with potential that, because of his surroundings, because of the team that he happened to be drafted to, because of the fact that he got caught up in a little bit of the coaching carousel, he's going to be unsuccessful. And it is unfortunate for him. I don't know. I think he has talent. I don't think he's great, but I think he has talent. And unfortunately, that talent's not going to reach its full potential.
Who are you talking to over there?
Just responding to Baldy's comments in chat.
Oh, that's fair. All right. So we finished Eagles, Lions, on to Pats, Fins.
Yep. So let's go on down to South Beach, where we got the New England Patriots heading down to face Tua and the Miami Dolphins. It's officially 100% Tua time in Miami. And this is the year. I mean, I feel like if Tua doesn't have success this year, it's going to be on to the next guy down there, because the way that they've loaded that team around him, he should absolutely be successful. Making the big move for Tyreek Hill in the offseason, pairing him with Jalen Waddle and some of those other boys down there. Miami has got a stacked offense, but can the defense hold up? And what will Mike McDaniel look like as the new head coach? Mac Jones, year 2, going down to face the division rivals. Currently, Miami 3.5-point favorites. That's a little surprising to me against a Bill Belichick-led team. But Who you got, man?
Yeah, I think that what's interesting to me is the Patriots are another team that it seems like people just like decided to forget about, like kind of like the Bengals, that it was like their rebuild I guess skipped a step and it was like, oh, okay, this team is a potential 10-win team right now. Okay, well, we didn't see that coming. Um, and I don't hear a lot of, maybe it's just because of how they kind of sputtered to end the season.
Yeah.
But it's weird to me that we're not hearing more about this team, and maybe it's because they sit in a division with the Bills, and so it's like, well, there's no way they're going to get past the Bills. But I think a whole lot about this Patriots team. I think that they're pretty good. Their defense is still stellar, but I don't have it being enough to beat the Dolphins this week. I think this is another case of I picked the home team because I think these teams, as of right now, week one, it's hard to separate them by much. Obviously, the Dolphins' strength being on the offensive side of the ball, the Patriots' strength being on the defensive side of the ball. And at this point, it was really just the tie was broken by the home team. 3.5 is, I mean, it's really, if you think about it, that 3.5 means that if they were on a neutral site, Miami's favored by 0.5 point. So Vegas sees these teams as pretty even too.
Yeah.
Home advantage is what takes this one.
Yeah, I also went Dolphins. That's not to say that I don't have faith in the Patriots. I still like the Patriots. I still think Mac Jones is a good quarterback. I think Bill Belichick's one of the best quarterbacks of all time. But I think there's a lot of good things about this Miami team. And historically, New England has struggled when they've played in Miami. I don't know why that is. Say what you want, but things like that do matter. I said
Weather's too nice.
I said it last year. I think maybe before or on the podcast after the Colts going down to Jacksonville and losing, that they have lost like 9 games in a row in Jacksonville against the Jags. So like there is something to that. Like when you lose 9 games in a row, I mean that says something. And again, New England historically struggles in Miami for whatever reason. So yeah, give me the Dolphins.
Yep, with you.
Let's move on up to New York, technically New Jersey, for the Baltimore Ravens to head into New Jersey to face the New York Jets. I think that we still don't know who's going to be playing quarterback for the Jets. I don't think that has been announced yet.
They did say that.
I think that Zach Wilson, there might still be a chance. I'm not 100% sure on that. I'm going to let my research assistant look that up for me as I continue. But I know who's playing quarterback for the Ravens, and we got Lamar Jackson heading into a contract year. He's trying to get paid, and so he's going to ball out. If you're living in New York and you want to go see this game, $55. I think people in New York can go afford that. Currently, Baltimore, 7-point favorites. I think that is about right. I have no faith in this Jets team. Who you got, man?
It looks like it is supposed to be Joe Flacco starting for the Jets, which to me makes this matchup slightly more interesting.
That is a little bit spicier.
Just like just that much spicier. Not a whole lot spicier.
Yeah.
I'm not high on this Ravens team. I don't think they're very good. And I think you and I agree on that it's like there's nothing about them that super impresses me, and I could be wrong. This Ravens team could surprise me and go to the playoffs and make a deep playoff run. Ain't no way they make it to the Super Bowl, but I've got them still being a more talented football team than the Jets. So the Jets, I think, are just not quite there yet, and being without their mediocre star QB in week 1, I'm gonna give this one to the Ravens.
I also have the Ravens win this one, mainly because it's the Jets. The Jets are gonna jet until the Jets don't jet. So until that happens, I'm gonna probably roll with whoever they're playing every single week. And this week it happens to be the Baltimore Ravens. So here you go, Baltimore. Take your 1 win.
Here's a free dub.
Start the season 1-0.
Yep.
Let's move over to Maryland. Landover, Maryland, FedEx Field. We've got the Jacksonville Jaguars coming to town to face the new Washington Commanders. Currently, the Commies are 2.5-point favorites. I don't think that says much about either one of these teams. This is a not good game. If you don't have to watch it, I suggest don't. It's gonna be bad football. But we got to pick a winner. Who you got, man?
I listen. Don't talk about these two teams like this. I think that the Jags, there's so much there that could be different from last year. You got Travis in there, the chemistry with Trevor Lawrence, not having Urban Meyer there to make everybody feel slightly uncomfortable, like their pervy uncle is just lurking around. I just think that I think that a lot could be different. You got Trayvon Walker, you got the number 1 draft pick rushing off the edge for you now. It's not a great team or even a good team in Jacksonville.
But there's things to watch. There are storylines. You're right.
Yeah. The Commies, I mean, they've got a new name and
a new quarterback. A new old quarterback.
Yeah. It's like saying I got a new car, but it's like a 97 Honda. Yeah. It's like, that's not really like a new car then. New
to me.
New to me. Yeah, I'm going to take the Jags. I think that the Commies are maybe down there with one of the least talented teams. They do have Scary Terry. They do have Antonio Gibson, who was kind of in jeopardy of losing his job to a guy that then got shot in the butt, which, I mean, like, sorry, I don't want to make light of that because that guy did absolutely nothing. Somebody tried to steal his car. He wasn't like wrong place, wrong time, anything. Right. He wasn't making bad decisions like old undressed to your comfortability Watson. It was just an unfortunate situation for Brian Robinson. But Antonio Gibson was kind of in danger of losing his job or at least some of his job to Brian Robinson there. I don't have a lot of faith in the Commies, man. I think that the Jags triumph America over communism this week. Yeah. Give me Jacksonville over the Commies.
Yeah, I agree. I also have Jacksonville winning this game. This is a pretty easy one for me to pick. I feel like Jacksonville is headed more in the right direction, whereas this Commanders team, I don't want to say they're heading downwards, but at the very least they're staying stagnant. Like they're not doing anything to improve. I think the move for Wentz was a very questionable one. I don't think it improves this team at all. No. And the defense still has so many problems. I'm rolling with Jacksonville.
Yep.
Let's head on down the road to Charlotte, where we have a little bit of a revenge game, potentially the spiciest matchup of the week.
This one's spicy. This one is the tea. That's what I love about this one.
This might be game of the week.
Yeah, the drama in this one alone is I'm so pumped.
I feel like it is going to be more of a blowout than it will be necessarily like a good game, but it's going to be tons of fun to watch because we get the Baker Mayfield revenge game. The Cleveland Browns coming to town to face Carolina Panthers and their new quarterback, the child Baker Mayfield himself.
Baker the Kid Mayfield.
I have a sneaking suspicion that Baker is about to light up that Cleveland defense, which I think Vegas has it wrong. They currently have Carolina as 1.5-point favorites, and I don't know where that's coming from because this is a Browns team that has Jacoby Brissett as their quarterback. This is not an offense that should be scaring anybody in its current format. Don't get me wrong, I think the Browns have a solid offense, but they have a 30th best quarterback in the league, and that's being generous in Jacoby Brissett. The guy is maybe the best backup quarterback, but he's a backup quarterback.
I'd rather have Jimmy G.
I agree. Now that Jimmy G's a backup, I agree with you.
Yep.
So I think that Carolina is going to win this game easily. That defense is going to absolutely shut down Jacoby Brissett. And if anything, maybe they'll get run over by Nick Chubb if Nick Chubb has a huge game, which is a possibility, but I don't see that happening. I think Baker's going to run away with this one for the Carolina offense, and I think it's going to be an easy one. Who you got, man?
Yeah, I'm with you. It's the Carolina Panthers. That if anything, Cleveland's defense is still great. Like,
yeah,
that's not a question. Cleveland's defense is still great, but they're gonna get real tired of the old brisket head over there, who is gonna struggle mightily. So yeah, give me the Panthers and the action and the drama, and like I know I'm not supposed to be rooting for the Panthers because I'm a Falcons fan, but man, this is gonna be fun to watch.
Yeah.
As long as Baker doesn't like let the hate rule him, and like he can keep at least somewhat of a cool head.
Yeah.
And not throw 35 picks just because he wants to sling it. If he can stay in his lane, be disciplined, that's what I want to see. And then I want to see him get like 4 excessive celebration penalties.
Yeah.
I want to see it, man, because he's earned it.
We're getting Baker planting the flag, Mayfield, which I'm here for.
Yeah, man.
I'm 100% here for that. That is Baker at his finest, in my opinion. So let's go over to the AFC South, where we have a potentially spicy division rivalry game between the Indianapolis Colts and the I say potentially spicy because there's stuff to like about this Texans team. I think that I don't think things. Yeah, one of them is Davis Mills, who rookie of the year Davis Mills. Where were you at, man?
Long neck himself.
Yeah. I think he could have I think he could have a good game, but this is one of the teams he played badly against last year. Indy 7 points favorites. I think that's probably fair given the Colts, but who you got, man?
Tickets as low as $22 if you're in the Houston area.
If I was in Houston, I'd be at this game in a heartbeat.
Yeah, absolutely.
In a heartbeat.
I think that oh man, are you supposed to have a draft right now?
Oh, I am, yeah. This is like, I told them that I couldn't do it, and they're gonna have to auto draft. So it is what it is.
Nope, there you go. You could draft, and we could talk about it on the podcast. People could hear the draft strategy.
We'll see.
Yeah. So there's no doubt in my mind on this one. I think that the Colts are one of the best teams in the league this year. I would love to see them. I would love to see them in an AFC Championship game, in the Super Bowl, but I don't know if it's going to happen. But I got the Colts in this one. Easy. Ain't no way. The Texans, although they might be on the up and up, they're still the dang Texans.
I mean, listen, I don't want to mislead you and make you think that I even slightly wanted to pick the Texans. I just think that Houston, I think a lot of things are going right for this team, and they're on the up and up. And
I'm really just more mad at you for thinking about it.
I'm not. I told you, I don't want to mislead you. I'm not thinking about it. I have the Colts.
But you were thinking about it.
I have the Colts. I think the Colts are going to win handily. The Colts are the better team.
Right.
Moving on.
You're arguing with nobody here.
Moving on. We've got the New York Giants heading down to Nashville to face this Tennessee Titans team. I think this could potentially be a bloodbath. There are very, very few good things happening for this New York team. Tennessee 5.5 point favorites. I think you could double that, and Tennessee would still. You could bet on Tennessee and still win.
Yep.
I've got the Titans. I don't think there's much to talk about here. Who you got, man?
Nope. I'm also got the Titans. There's nothing good in New York, especially after they cut Blake Martinez, I think. Pretty sure. They cut Blake Martinez, which it's like that. He was one of the few people that people knew that name on your defense. So, yeah, give me the Titans in this one.
Yeah, I'm with you. It's not a good year for the Giants, and I don't see that changing. I don't know, anytime soon.
Yeah.
So let's move on to the game I'm most excited about, mainly because I'm gonna be at it. We've got the Green Bay Packers going out to Minneapolis to face the Minnesota Vikings. Vikings under a little bit of new leadership in Kevin O'Connell. I don't know how it's going to fare for them. I think there's a lot of good pieces for that offense. I think that offense could be very, very good once again this year, but I just don't know if the on-paper Vikings will show up on the field like they haven't for years now. And I don't know what to make of this team. Part of me, if I'm being honest, wanted to pick the Vikings in this game. And the reason why is because I said this last year when the Packers faced the Vikings, that every single year Minnesota in at least one of the games gives us a difficult time. And Green Bay has tended to, in recent years, struggle out the gate. We look at what happened against the Saints last year when they lost. I think it was 35-3. It was awful. They always figure it out because they're good. They're a good team. Part of me really wanted to pick the Vikings, but if I'm gonna be at this game, I'm gonna be cheering for my boys. So I went with the Packers. Who you got, man?
Yeah, I'm. What's weird is that I felt the same way. That I wondered about this game. It does look like a trap game because it's at home. It's a division game. It's the Vikings who are consistently inconsistent.
Yeah.
But I just think that the Packers defense is too good. Like, Dalvin Cook is a good running back. Dalvin Cook is a great running back. Kirk Cousins is a great quarterback.
Yep.
Now I'm starting to question it because I'm like saying all these things out loud. And I'm like,
Justin Jefferson, top 5 wide receiver.
Jefferson is great. Oh,
if you're gonna do it, man.
So my hesitation is that I think pretty lowly of this Vikings defense. This Vikings defense is hurting. I mean, they've lost a whole lot of their talent that they've built up for years, and so there's not a whole lot about this Vikings defense that scares me. Where the Packers still have Aaron Rodgers, still have Aaron Jones, still have AJ Dillon. No other receivers to mention in that list, but I'm gonna stick with the Packers. I'll stick with the Packers on this one. But I'm with you. I think it'll be close. Hopefully for you, it's an exciting game, but the Packers win. I've
got the Packers winning. I mean, I think they're the better team. And despite how good that Minnesota offense can be, I think the defense is going to show up and show out. So, yeah.
Especially because everybody's healthy. You finally got this Packers defense healthy for at least a game. Like, they've all got to be healthy when the ball is snapped for the first play of the defense.
Yeah.
So, it could all fall apart from there, though.
It could. Well, let's move
on. Are you gonna wear your cheese head?
Probably not, because I don't have enough room in my bag to pack it, and I'm not wearing it on the plane.
Why not? So, that sounds like the move right there. To wear the cheese head, like, I think that you should wear it the entire time you're there. When you're going to bed, like, use it as your pillow. Like, that should be it should be with you at all times.
Maybe. Let's move on. Excuse me. Go out to Phoenix, Arizona, where we've got the Kansas City Chiefs coming to town to face Kyler Murray and the boys and the Arizona Cardinals. I think this could be a sneaky good game. I do like this Cardinals team, but as we discussed, there's a lot of question marks surrounding them. And this Chiefs team, we don't quite know what this offense will be without Tyreek Hill. I still think that they're going to be okay. They got plenty of weapons there. They still have Travis Kelce. They still have Patrick Mahomes, who is arguably top 3 quarterback in the league. The defense has a lot of question marks. Could be a good game, though. Who you got, man?
I somehow missed this game when I was doing my picks earlier. And so I'm really thinking hard about it. Man, this is a tough game to me because the Cardinals looked so good for so much of last year.
Yeah.
And I think that they've just gotten better. I don't know. I'm still not bought into the Cardinals. Give me the Chiefs in this one.
Yeah, I'm also going with the Chiefs.
But I wouldn't be surprised if Arizona took it.
I wouldn't be either. That's what I'm saying. Like, I feel like this could be a sneaky good game. I think it's going to be close. I don't think I gave the line, but currently Kansas City are 6.5 point favorites. I don't think that is an accurate line.
Yeah, I wouldn't take that.
I would say that if I'm doing anything, I'd say Kansas City 2 point favorites. I think it's going to be relatively close. I could see this Cardinals team coming out and sneaking out a win, especially because I think Cliff Kingsbury usually starts out hot and fades down the stretch. So I think I wouldn't be surprised if this Cardinals team does something similar as they did last year and come out and win, I don't know, 5 or 6 games out the gate, and then just things start going downhill for them. So I could see that happening. I could also see the Chiefs blowing them out because it's the Chiefs and they're the better team. But a lot of question marks. I've also got Kansas City.
Yeah.
This next matchup, I said earlier that Cleveland Carolina is game of the week, and I still stand by that because of the storyline. But I think this might be the best actual game that's played, and we have the Las Vegas Raiders.
Better than Bills Rams.
Oh, that is fair. That is fair. I tend to forget about the Thursday night game, but that's fair. I think this is right up there though with them.
That's yeah. I'll agree with that.
The Las Vegas Raiders heading out to face their division rival Los Angeles Chargers in LA. Currently, the Chargers are 3-point favorites, which means they're only the favorites because they're the home team, and I think that's accurate, man. I mean this is two of the top tier teams in the AFC facing each other, division rivals. I think this game is going to be fun. I think this game is going to be shades of what we got in Week 18 last year, where it's back and forth the whole time. I'm here for it. If I wasn't going to be at a game, I would be watching this one, and I'll probably still be watching this one on my phone. Who you got, man?
Man, this one wasn't even hard for me. You know my feelings on the Raiders this year. I do not buy it. I am not about it. I think I've got them as like a 7-win team. So, of course, I don't have them overtaking my Super Bowl champs at home in week 1. I think that the Chargers are the better team in literally at every aspect. So, give me the Chargers. Give me the over. I mean, give me the spread on this one. I think that the Chargers win this one by a touchdown minimum.
No way.
Touchdown minimum.
It's a close game. I say 4-point game. Touchdown is too many points. I also have the Chargers. Don't get me wrong. I'm not picking Vegas. I wanted to. I really like this Vegas team, but I went Chargers. I think they're the better team. I've got them going 15-2, so I can't give them too many losses. And I don't think they start off the season with one. So yeah, give me LA.
All right.
Let's go out to Big D for Sunday Night Football. We got Tom Brady and the boys heading out to face the Dallas Cowboys. Currently on the road, the Bucks are 2.5-point favorites because Vegas loves them some Brady for whatever reason.
Not buying it.
I'm not buying it. I wouldn't be betting on that game. Give me the Cowboys as the underdog. I will take some money. But who you got, man?
Yeah, I got the Cowboys because they're winning this game. This Cowboys team is ridiculously good. I wouldn't be surprised if this Cowboys team went to the Super Bowl. Would not be surprised at all. Honestly, now that I'm thinking about it, they could absolutely do it. The only reason that we don't pick them is because they're Dallas and somehow they just manage to not every year. But yeah, I think this Dallas Cowboys team is one of the best teams in the league. So give me a surging, improving Cowboys team over a dying Bucks team led by the man who is even becoming looking more and more like Lord Voldemort as every day in plastic surgery passes by. So yeah, give me the Cowboys.
Yeah, I've also got the Dallas Cowboys. I really like this Cowboys team. I don't love them. I think there's still an element of not fully being able to trust them. Some of that I think is on their head coach being Mike McCarthy. I think that this is absolutely a make or break year for him. If he falters at all, I think that he's gone come Black Monday. But I've got the Cowboys starting out the gate with a win against Tampa Bay. I don't think that this is the same Tampa Bay team that we've seen the last 2 seasons with Brady. I think it's going to be a very different year for them. I think they're still going to be just fine and make the playoffs, but I think it's going to be a different year, and they get off to a slow start with a loss out of the gate to Dallas. But this should be a fun one for Sunday Night Football. Two NFC powerhouses kind of going back and forth at it. I like it.
Yeah, I'm about it.
Let's
action.
So let's scoot on over for Monday Night Football. We've got revenge game number 2 of the week. Russell Wilson and the Denver Broncos.
My MVP pick.
Riding into Seattle to face the Seahawks, his old team. Now, I feel like Seattle's got a little bit of revenge to get on Russell Wilson with the way that he just up and left them. I don't think that he handled it the best, but I don't blame him either. That right. Franchise was in disarray. There was
in the toilet.
There was, problems between him and Pete Carroll. So I don't blame him for wanting out, and he got out and he went to a great team in this Denver Broncos team. Currently, Ooh. Denver 6.5-point favorites. I think it could be even higher. This Seattle team is one of the worst in the league. Who you got, man?
I think that Seattle is the worst team in the league. I think that Seattle is. I think it's between them and the Bears, but there really is absolutely nothing about this Seattle team, even including DK Metcalf. In our Deep Keeper League you mentioned earlier, I traded DK Metcalf because I'm like, he's done. Like,
yeah,
he worked because you had one of the best quarterbacks potentially ever. I mean, I'm not saying like top 5 ever, but like one of the better quarterbacks of all time.
Yeah,
throwing him the ball. So I was like, I'm done with him. I'll take 2 starting running backs instead of DK Metcalf, especially in that league. It's ridiculous. Give me the Broncos. This is going to be a slaughter. One of my favorite tweets I saw about the UGA Oregon game was Oregon really flew all the way across the country to kick a field goal and then went home. And I'm like, that's hilarious. And that's how I feel about this Broncos Seahawks game. Is it's going to be like, man, Seattle came out today and did all of this to just get shut out by Denver. This is going to be ugly.
Yeah, I don't see it being particularly close. I think Russ puts on a show heading back to Seattle. I think there's still a lot of fans that will be cheering for him, but I think he's going to come out to boos initially.
You think so?
Just because of the way that
he won them a Super Bowl, man. There's no way
I know, but there's a lot of ill will towards him with things that he's said about that team since leaving. With the way that he handled everything, I just don't see it going.
What did he say? I didn't even hear anything.
He said I don't remember what he said, but he said something. Also, somebody just took the Baltimore Ravens defense with the 3rd pick in the draft, not the 3rd overall pick, but their 3rd round pick.
Their 3rd round pick?
Yeah.
They picked the Ravens defense?
They picked the Ravens defense.
Is it someone that's living in the mid-2000s?
I don't know, but you're overvaluing defense.
Ooh.
Yeah, I don't like that pick.
That's hilarious.
I'm currently drafting. Luckily, I got the 10th overall pick, so I get the back-to-back picks.
Oh, nice.
So far, I've gotten Devontae Adams, Nick Chubb, and Kyle Pitts. And I think I want to go running back to get my second running back, but I don't know who I want. That's the problem.
Who you got? What are your choices?
David Montgomery could be good. I don't love that pick, though.
Yeah.
There's Ezekiel Elliott, James Conner. I'm not picking James Conner. Cam Akers, I don't trust out there in LA.
Well, James Conner's not going to be splitting time with Edmonds anymore. James Conner is
but I don't like James Conner. I don't think he's that great.
Okay. I mean, James Conner was a stud last year. But I mean, I'm with you. He's not necessarily like a playmaker. David Montgomery's good. He might share some time with Khalil Herbert.
I could roll the dice, and right now, projection wise, Josh Jacobs will still be there when it gets to my next pick.
Yeah.
I could roll the dice and grab a second wide receiver and get like Mike Evans or Keenan Allen.
Is Eli Mitchell still there for the 49ers? He's one of my sneaky...
probably, but
he's one of my sneaky picks because they cut somebody.
I think he'd be a reach at this point.
Oh, that's fair.
I'm gonna grab. Oh man, I think I'm gonna grab Mike Evans. Mike Evans is Mr. Consistency. I'm gonna grab him.
That's fair.
I feel good about that. All right. Yeah. Back to the pod.
Yeah.
I think that wraps up all the games. I think that's week 1 in the books, man.
Yeah, week 1, man.
As always, we appreciate you hanging out and listening to us. If you're watching us on YouTube, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. Make sure you're notified every single time we go live. We're live every Tuesday.
Don't you have to smash it? Isn't that what you're like legally? You have to
smash the subscribe button. Give me the likes. Give me the follows. Anyways, make sure you're notified every Tuesday when we go live. It's usually around 8, but if you have the notifications turned on, you'll get notified even if it's after 8.
Or before.
But if you don't feel like doing that, we don't care one way or the other. We're just here to have fun and hopefully tickle your ears with some good predictions, some bold predictions, some spicy takes. We thank you very much.
And you talk about tickling too much, and Deshaun's going to become a fan.
Thank you for listening. If you're riding around listening on Spotify or Apple, thank you. Thanks for hanging out. Thanks for tuning in. Hop into our Discord. Come hang out with us and talk some sports in there. Follow us on our socials if you feel like it. And as always, I think that's that.
That's that.
Solid episode, man. Solid episode.
Good stuff.
I might stay live for this draft. Maybe.
Do it, man.
We'll see. I might bail out. I don't even know if anybody's...
Which league is this? Is this the Money League?
No, it's a league with Peter and Dalen that they invited me into. Nice. So we'll see how it goes. One of the guys that is in... I'm just going to call it the Booth Review League at this point. One of the guys that's in there is also in this league. The guy that took over. Yeah, the guy that took over from Maddie.
Cool.
Yep.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I feel really good about this team. The fact that I was able to get Devontae and Chubb back to back, I feel ecstatic about.
I mean, 10 team leagues are nice because like they're not super. You don't have to think super hard because not everybody's gonna be taken. I like 10 team leagues. 8 team leagues are ridiculous. 2
quarterbacks were taken in the first round.
Well, if it's Josh Allen and Patrick Mahomes, that makes sense.
Patrick Mahomes is not one.
Justin Herbert also makes sense.
Justin Herbert was not one of them. Although he was taken in the second round with the 20th overall pick.
Who else was taken in the first round?
Jalen Hurts.
And people are just stupid.
Jalen Hurts, this guy's team is mind-blowing to me. Jalen Hurts was his first pick. His second pick was Breece Hall, which, okay, cool. Maybe he's something. Maybe he's not. Third pick,
almost definitely split in time.
Third pick was the Baltimore Ravens defense. And the fourth pick was Michael Pittman, which, okay, I like that pick. But he took Breece Hall. He took Breece Hall over, listen to these running backs: Dalvin Cook, Joe Mixon, Alvin Kamara, DeAndre Swift, Aaron Jones, Saquon Barkley, Javonte Williams, Leonard Fournette, and James Conner.
Ugh.
Yeah.
Is this a baseball fan? That's what I think.
I don't know. I kind of feel bad for talking so much junk about this guy while we're still live, but
I don't.
If you're gonna draft this way, you're gonna get called out for it.
Yeah, if you're gonna draft in front of 9 other humans, the whole world needs to know about your stupidity at this point. Like, it should be, if anything, as a cautionary tale for others, and maybe we can change your behavior, sir.
I don't
sir
know.
Or ma'am?
I don't know what this guy's doing. I mean, first off, like, what are you doing taking a quarterback in the first round. I mean, almost always go running back first, unless there's a top tier wide receiver that is available that is better.
Maybe honestly,
that you value more.
Honestly, this sounds like a college football fan who has never played fantasy football before, because it's like Jalen Hurts. He was good in college.
Yeah.
Baltimore, aren't they known for their defense? And Breece Hall, I watched him last year. He was really good. He'll be good in the NFL. So, and then the Michael Pittman pick is just befuddling altogether. So, who knows?
Most everybody has 2 running backs at this point. I don't. And there's at least 1 or 2 other teams. Somebody's gone 3 wide receivers and running back. Again, like, to me, as I mentioned to you earlier, it's running back and then tight end, in my opinion. Just because, like, tight ends, there's so few good ones. And if you're going to waste a spot on your roster where you have to fill with a tight end, you need a good one.
That's fair.
I don't think to me, it's worth it more to draft a Kelsey or a Mark Andrews or George Kittle higher than you would a, top end wide receiver, simply because wide receivers are so close in value and tight ends are so spread out. And if you have to waste at least 1 spot of your roster on a tight end, you might as well get some dang good value from it.
See, for me, it's like there's like the difference in the first tier, the first 2 or 3 tiers of wide receivers, and all of the tight ends is such a small gap. Like, to me, because those two positions all come down to consistency. Like the running back. That's why running backs are so valuable, is because they are the most consistent thing on a fantasy team.
True.
Other than quarterbacks, which they are all going to get the same points regardless. I think I looked at it today, and the difference between, outside of like Josh Allen, the difference between the number 3 and the number 12 quarterback, if you're doing a 12-team league, was like 30 points over the course of a season. It's
right.
Like, that's nothing.
That's what I said earlier today about in that money league. Josh Allen was taken at 27. He was the first quarterback off the board at pick 27. I grabbed Aaron Rodgers at pick 93, and I went and looked at their fantasy production last season. Now, I think Rodgers is going to have a little bit of a down year because he doesn't have Devontae there, but the fantasy production points wise, Josh Allen averaged 3.5 more points.
Yeah,
I can easily pick up those 3.5 more points in the picks that I got between Josh Allen and Aaron Rodgers.
Yep.
I don't understand why people don't realize that.
In all reality, you probably got more than 3 points per game.
Exactly.
Advantage over that other guy in your other picks.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. I just like getting, if you have 2 number 1 receivers, that is more valuable than most tight ends, because if you have a number 1 receiver and a number 2 receiver, there's going to be a lot of weeks that number 2 receiver gets you 4 points. But tight ends, there's going to be a lot of weeks that Mark Andrews gets you 4 points. And there's going to be, but it's like Mark Andrews is going to probably more consistently.
I don't know about that. I mean,
get you about 10. And there will be a week here where he gets 30 and a week where he gets 2.
Right.
But wide receivers are almost all like all or nothing. And so if you can get one of those top guys that will consistently get you 7 to 10 points a game, which is, I mean, rare to me. Like there's about 20 receivers that are consistent. And so if you can snag a couple of those guys while everybody else is going crazy over other positions, I don't know. That's just my strategy.
Speaking of wide receivers, how are we feeling about Jerry Jeudy?
So what I've heard is Courtland Sutton is Russ's favorite target.
Okay.
So Sutton probably will be the number 1 there.
Yeah, I think Sutton's already been taken. I went Josh Jacobs. Josh Jacobs was still there. Nice. And now I'm probably going to go another wide receiver. Yeah, because I've got Chubb, Jacobs, Devontae, Mike Evans, and Kyle Pitts. I'm probably going to go another wide receiver here.
Yeah, go wide receiver.
Which is why I was looking at Jeudy.
Who else you got?
Deontay Johnson, Jalen Waddle. I mean, Waddle's not a bad pick.
Yeah, but he's still the number 2.
DK Metcalf, I'm not going after.
No.
Allen Robinson, I think Allen Robinson's going to have a really good year out in LA, but he also is number 2.
And I think I would take the other number 2s over him.
Who's Marquise Brown out in Arizona?
I've heard that I saw earlier today that he's like a wide receiver 3, and I'm like, what? I think that because he has the college chemistry with Kyler, I think that and DeAndre's out for 6 weeks. I think his chemistry there is going to help him a lot.
I don't know. I do worry about him. Thielen's still out there. I could go with Thielen.
Ooh, well,
I really like Thielen.
Too.
He is a 2, but he's consistent. And
and
arguably
sweating Justin Jefferson.
And arguably he has the best quarterback throwing to him, like passing quarterback.
Yeah.
I think I'm going to go Thielen, which Thielen, the ADP is at 70, so I'm taking him, definitely reaching, but I'm doing it.
Well,
whatever.
Who's the first one you mentioned?
Jalen Waddle and Deontay Johnson.
Yeah. Oh, and Jerry Jeudy. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, that's what I'm talking about. Like, when you get to this point, it's like, like these guys, they might have several weeks where they get me nothing.
Yeah. I like Thielen. I've always liked Thielen. I think he's a solid wide receiver. But I know it's about that time for you.
Yep. I'm going to hop off. I also have to pee again because I drank so much Kool-Aid during this episode. Just the most Kool-Aid I've ever consumed in one sitting, probably.
I'll probably go ahead and kill the stream. So if you're still in here on YouTube, thanks for hanging out. We'll catch y'all next week.
Appreciate you.